Haribol, dear devotees, welcome to the third week of our Rupa Shiksha program. Last week we zoomed out and we saw the position of all the souls in this universe, and now we are zooming in, looking into the nature of just one of those souls. In this video today, first we'll have a recap of the previous verses we went over, and then we will go through the next 3 verses, the third of which we will memorize. And then after those 3 verses, there are 2 more verses that I think I'll go over in another video, which I'll hopefully put out tomorrow. So this week we'll be going over 5 verses of Rupa Shiksha altogether. Please don't get intimidated by the long length of this video. You're not obligated to watch the whole thing. As you can see, I made this video into chapters so that you can watch the parts that are helpful for you and skip those parts that aren't. So let's go over the previous verses. E mata dasha dina BHÄGO Śrī Rupe Shiksha dilo Shakti Sanchariya Prabhu kohe shuno rup bhakti rase lakshan Sutra rupe kohi vistar na jai varnan Para para shunya gabhir bhakti rasa sindhu Tomai chakaite tar kohi ekabindu E mata brahmanda bhori ananta jīvaΓ Chorashi lakha yonite koroye brahman. So in the previous verse we zoomed out and we got a bird's eye view of what the situation is here in this universe with the ananta jīvaΓ, unlimited living entities. This universe is filled from the bottom up to the very top with countless living entities rotating up and down in various species. Rukmini Didi mentioned in our last recitation group that just in our body alone, there are 100 trillion living entities. Who can say how many times we've experienced this human form of life and what sufferings we underwent? It's unimaginable. So the greatest suffering or greatest joy that we could even possibly imagine is completely irrelevant when we zoom out and we see what the real situation is. How quickly it is all over and everything forgotten, and then a new life and experience begins. When we can disassociate ourselves from this tiny, fleeting human experience, then we can really understand what Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj would always say on every appearance day and disappearance day of any Vaishnava. That our only sampad, our only wealth, our only treasure, the only thing that we have of value is remembering the Vaishnavas. And the only vipad, the only misfortune we experience, is when we forget them. This sampad is something that we hold on to for eternity. It is what connects us in our eternal relationship with Bhagavan. In reality, someone stealing away all my wealth, or my reputation becoming completely ruined, or whatever it is, that is not what is considered a vipad. That's not misfortune or a calamity, no. A vipad would be forgetting Gurudev, forgetting the Vaishnavas, their instructions, these eternal treasures that we have. And so this is why we are learning these verses, not to have some more verses that we can quote and become more knowledgeable, but no, we're studying this so that maybe we'll be able to wake up and understand the urgency of our situation and not waste any more time. All right, so with this previous verse we've seen how there are unlimited living entities floating up and down in the universe. And hey look, one of those living entities is me. Now let's take a closer look. Let's zoom into this one living entity. Let's take a closer look at this tiny jiva, me.
I have come to this world, but I don't know who am I. Who am I? কে আমি? কেন আমার যারে তাপত্রয়?
When Sanatana Goswami met the Lord in Varanasi, he first inquired the most important question we could possibly ask. Ke ami? Who am I? Every time we take birth, we have a total identity crisis. Like right now, I'm facing a total identity crisis. I think I'm someone else, but really I don't know who I am. The first of the 4 types of anarthas, obstacles in our spiritual life, is Swarup Brahma, being an illusion about my Swarup. What is the true nature of my soul? Who really am I? This is the root of all my problems and why I am stuck in this current situation. The soul has many attributes, and in Paramatma Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami presents 21 attributes as described by Jamatri Muni, which one day I would love to study with all of you. There are a couple videos on YouTube which I'll share in the description of this video if you're interested in this topic. So right now, in the next 3 verses, Mahaprabhu is going to explain one of these attributes, how the soul is anu, is atomic, and shukshma, very tiny, fine, and subtle. So now, continuing on with our next verses. Recite-bhāga Punasatanksha kori tar sama shukshma jiver swarupa vichari. So the tip of the hair divided into 100 parts, and then one of those parts again divided into another 100 parts. Tar sama, the same as this little part, is the shukshma jiver's swarup, is the form of the very tiny, subtle, atomic jiva. Vichari, this is what I consider, this is what I understand. In Caitanya-caritāmṛta, very often before or after a Sanskrit verse, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami will make a Bengali rendition of it. So this is like a Bengali translation of the following verse. And just a disclaimer, I do not know Sanskrit, so I'm going to explain this verse according to how I understand it, but just understand that I might not be getting everything grammatically correct according to Sanskrit, but it will give you the gist of what the verse is saying. BÆLÂGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA Shatangsha sadrishatmaka jīva shukshma swarupoyam sankyatito hichit kanaha. So Keshagra, the tip of the hair, Shata-bhāgasya, divided into 100 parts. Shatangsha, just 100th of one of those parts, sadrishatmaka, is equal to jīva shukshma swarup, the jiva's infinitesimal form. Ayang, the jivas, are sankyatita, beyond calculation. Sankhya atita, beyond counting. It's uncountable, innumerable. And he chit kanaha, they are kana, they are particles of chit, of spirit. They're spiritual particles. So now we come to the verse that we'll be memorizing, which is very similar to the previous verse. BÆLΑGRA-ЩΑTA-BHÀGASYA ЩATADHÂ KALPITASYA CA BHΑGO SAJIVA VIJÑEYA iti CΑHA PARÂ śrutis. BÆLΑGRA. Bala is another way of saying hair. One way is kesha and another is bala. So BÆLAGRA, the tip of the hair. And then ЩATA-BHÀGASYA, divided into 100 parts. Okay, now let's throw away 99 of those parts and leave that one part. Then ЩATADHÂ, 100 parts, KALPITASYA, divided, cha, and. Now again remove 90 parts. Bhaga, that part, that piece, is understood as VIJÑEYA, is understood as the size of sa jiva, as that jiva. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. Iti, thus, aha, says PARÂ śrutis, the chief shrutis. So this is another verse explaining how the jiva is anu, atomic, is shukshma, very tiny and subtle. And actually the verse we're memorizing is more like an analogy. It's just giving an idea. Because in reality, the jiva is even tinier than 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. Anu means atomic. And in physics, an atom has the components protons, neutrons, and electrons. And an atom can be further split. Well, here the Sanskrit word anu has no components, and it can't be further split. Actually, the word atom comes from the Greek word atomos, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it means indivisible, can't be further split. So anu, the soul is the smallest particle that could possibly exist. So this verse refutes the conception of the Advaitavadis that we are all just one big, all-pervading soul, and that parts of this soul get covered by ignorance, which gives us a sense of being individuals. No, there isn't just one soul. There are innumerable tiny spiritual particles. Each particle, those are each souls. And this soul pervades whatever form it happens to be in. It is situated in the region of the heart. And no, this doesn't refer to the organ heart, the region of the heart. Sometimes the spiritual particle pervades a microbe, sometimes an ant. Sometimes this very same soul pervades the body of Lord Brahma. But no matter what type of body the soul is pervading, each soul is eternally individual and of equal status, importance, and value. I'm going to record the rest of this video tomorrow morning, so good night. Here I am again, 5:30 in the morning. Now let's memorize this verse. Bala is another word for hair in Sanskrit, and agra means tip. So BＡLＡGRA means tip of the hair. ЩАТАDHÂ. Shata means 100, and bhaga means parts or pieces. So ЩАТАDHÂ means of 100 pieces. So BＡLΑGRA-ЩΑTA-BHÂGASYA means the tip of the hair divided into 100 pieces. So BALAGRA-ЩАTA-BHÂGASYA. BＡLAGRA-ЩАTA-BHÂGASYA. BALAGRA-ЩАTA-BHÂGASYA. BALAGRA-ЩАTA-BHÂGASYA. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÂGASYA. Alright, so now let's remove the excess 99 pieces and keep the one remaining part. And the next line. ЩATADHÂ KALPITASYA CA. ЩATADHÂ KALPITASYA CA. ЩATADHÂ KALPITASYA CA. So shata again means 100, and dha, just think of it like bhaga, pieces, parts. So ЩATADHÂ means 100 parts, and kalpitasya means divided. So that one remaining piece, ЩATADHÂ, into 100 parts, kalpitasya, divided. ЩATADHÂ kalpitasya, and then the word cha means and. In Sanskrit, and generally comes after. So like in English we would say apples and oranges. In Sanskrit you would say apples, oranges, and. So cha and ЩATADHÂ into 100 parts, kalpitasya, divided. ЩATADHÂ kalpitasya ca. ЩATADHÂ kalpitasya ca. So from the beginning, BＡLΑGRA-ЩΑTA-BHÂGASYA. ЩATADHÂ kalpitasya ca. Let's say that 3 more times. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÂGASYA. ЩATADHÂ kalpitasya ca. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÂGASYA. ЩATADHÂ kalpitasya ca. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÂGASYA. ЩATADHÂ kalpitasya ca. Now again, let's remove the excess 99 parts and take that one remaining part left, and we come to the third line. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. So that bhaga, that remaining piece, sa jīva, that is the soul. That is the atomic size of the soul. Vijñeya, this is what is understood. So the bhaga, the remaining part, vijñeya, is understood. Jīva size, that soul, is that is the size of the soul. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. That what? That atomic size of the jiva. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. That part is understood to be the atomic size of the jiva. So from the beginning, BALAGRA-ЩАTA-BHÂGASYA. ЩATADHÂ KALPITASYA ca. Bhaga jīva savijñeya. And now we come to the last line. Iti CΑHA PARÂ śrutis. Iti means thus. And CAHA is cha combined with AHA. Cha again means and AHA means says. So CAHA. So iti CAHA. And thus says. Who says? PARÂ śrutis. PARÂ means the best, the topmost. And śrutiḥ means the Shrutis, the Vedas. And the first 3 lines of this verse is coming from the Śvetaśvātara Upaniṣad. So Shruti is especially meaning the Śvetaśvātara Upaniṣad. So the Shrutis headed by Śvetaśvātara Upaniṣad. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. And thus says the topmost Shrutis, headed by Śvetaśvātara Upaniṣad. Let's say that 3 times. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. Thus says the topmost Shrutis. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. Now let's say the last 2 lines together. BHÀGO JÍVAH VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BHÀGO JÍVA 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 VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. Now let's again do the first 2 lines. BＡLAGRA-ЩАTA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. The tip of the hair divided into 100 parts, and then one of those parts again divided into 100 parts. That remaining part is understood to be the atomic size of the jīva. This is the verdict of the chief Shrutis. Haribol, everybody. When I recorded myself saying the shlokas 10 times, I noticed I was saying sa jīva instead of jīva sa. So I'm gonna try again. BＡLAGRA-ЩАTA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. BHÀGO JÍVA VIJñEya. Iti CAHA PARÂ śrutis. BALAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA. ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA CHA. bhāga jīva savigyeya iti CΑHA para śrutiḥ BＡLAGRA-ЩATA-BHÀGASYA ЩATADHÀ KALPITASYA ca bhāga jīva savigyeya iti CAHA para śrutiḥ. Haribol. So that's it for today. There are still 2 verses remaining that we're going to go over this week, and I'm going to record that today and hopefully publish that tomorrow. Alright, so please practice the verse, and in a couple days we'll have a Zoom session where you can recite the verse in front of everyone and explain it in your own words. But if you aren't able to make it to the Zoom session, no worries. You can just send it to me by WhatsApp or Signal or Telegram. My number is in the description of this video. See you all again tomorrow. Haribol.